Correct, then we're assuming that they're prohibited, and I don't want to make that
Well,
assumption.
then we need to put something in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, see.
But isn't the
that-
problem that farm stands are protected by Rhode Island law?
They are, yeah. Yeah, so, but it's what happens at Chase Farm, where they sell their products almost all summer and into the fall, that's protected. Anything they, so that's a farm stand.
But they don't define what a farm stand is.
Exactly,
Right,
right.
right.
So
So that's why I changed the wording to say that are currently permitted in all residential, yeah.
So if I'm the Chase family,
What?
Only black.
Should you say by state law?
well, if I'm the Chase family and I read that statement, I would say, well, it doesn't really matter whether you support them or not, because we can have a farm stand.
Well, that's okay,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, we're trying to find
It's
out
an
what.
opinion.
It's an opinion,
So that-
that's-
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I guess what I'm getting at is B, is what I want to know is, what we're asking in B is, do you support it outright and with no regulations, or do you support it only with regulations?
But we're talking about something different than the Chase family selling pumpkins and squash and tomatoes.
Yes. Or, maybe not so much, but we're talking about the structure. We're talking about the structure, that's what I'm talking about, is the structure that they're operating out of. And the scale of it.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's even, if the Chases are selling tomatoes and pumpkins and squash, and they build a framed structure, can you even reach over the fence and regulate that?
Well, it's very unclear in our
Right,
ordinance.
yeah.
You are correct.
No, but maybe the state protects them, maybe.
Oh, no, you
maybe-
can. Many towns have farm retail sales ordinances. Yeah, which does exactly that. I mean, just because the state protects the sale of that on the premises does not give them a right to build the largest structure that they want to build, you know?
Okay. Well, then
It's a different issue.
Well, then maybe they ask the question that way, just what you just said. Says,
Okay.
Do you agree with regulating farm stand structures, as opposed to just calling it farm stands, but farm stand structures in the non-CD and CL zones?
Question under state law, are they only allowed to sell produce
And
and
grow on the premises,
anything,
is my understanding, right?
Yeah, and then that gets fuzzy.
and then that gets fuzzy like the blankets and stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then the whole thing, well,
Yeah,
Well, another problem here is just the structure of this question, because 18A is how strongly do you support the existence of farm stands? So just as an example, if I answer this, oh, I strongly support farm stands. And then B is, I support farm stands as long as they're regulated. How do I answer that if I don't want, if I personally, and I would say I do, but if I personally don't want them regulated, I don't want wide open, then how do I answer that? I don't support farm stands? No, I just said I strongly did support farm stands. You know, they're contradictory. The A and B
So
can't complement
maybe,
each
so
other.
it should be like if you answer.
Maybe you should say only if they are regulated.
Well, I think
They
what
can't
Mike
ask
said
that.
earlier, if
They
you just
can't ask
change
that.
B to, do you think farm stand structures should be regulated as the B, then, okay, I strongly support them, but I think they ought to be regulated. You don't have a contradictory question to yourself there.
Striking the, kind of the first part of the sentence, I guess.
Because you've already said in A whether you agree, whether you support them or don't support them.
So that would replace the,
Support
So how
farm
is,
stand structure.
Well, A would be how strongly you support, and we answer that.
Farm
B,
stands or farm stand structures.
well, A would be just farm stands.
Okay.
B would be, do you support regulation of farm stand structures, agree or disagree? You can support farm stands and still think the structures need to be regulated. That's not contradictory.
Right, I think that makes sense.
okay, I get it, thank you.
and what about C then? I would support farm stands, so I'm not sure we can say that, because I said I would support farm stands only in the commercial areas. Again,
So maybe just not ask that question.
Yeah.
they have a free pass, it's not something that we have a choice to support or not support, it's it's all right.
Yeah, makes sense. No, I think the last content is to aggravate the farmers, that's not the intent of the question. Nineteen? Hasn't changed. 20 has not changed. 21, just a little clarification. 24, just a little clarification there as well.
Can you just go back to 19 for a minute?
Yeah.
So we have farms that are preserved, either by conservation rights or out now. They've been purchased and, well, no, it would just be the conservation right?
The development rights.
Development rights. So what are you saying here, taking the next step? That, let's say the Neal family leaves, and are you saying that, so the property can't be developed, so it either becomes just open pasture or single-family dwelling?
Right.
Is that what we're asking?
We're asking how important is it that it be maintained as a working farm? Right.
So does that mean that if somebody said it's got to be a working farm forever, that we need to change some of our...
No, but I think there's tools, there's things that we can do. We could, the easement is in place, and what the easement says for both of those farms is that it be maintained as the appearance of a working farm. Not fallow fields, it has to look like it's a working farm. It doesn't have to be a working farm, and they're allowed to lease it. And maybe the town helps them with advertising for leasing the farm. Maybe the town, helps them start a co-op to lease that space. Maybe the town, I think there are things the town can do if it's very important to the public that these farms be maintained as farms. So I think there's things that we can do with that information.
Okay. Even now, after the fact, after those agreements are all said and done?
Yeah, I think there's ways that we could help them accomplish that. Yeah, because they're not required to maintain it as a working farm. But if it's important to the community, we certainly we're open to encourage that.
So you would take the answer to the question as it's compiled and then work something into a comprehensive plan that it is important, isn't important, or whatever
Or a
the
different
survey
way, yeah.
results are,
Right.
and then actions by the town will be appropriate
Yes.
to whatever is in the comprehensive plan.
Right. I just think it's important to ask some, and maybe I'm not getting to the root of the questions, but I think that local agriculture is really in the forefront of conversations now around the country for many reasons, sustainability, less traveling of the produce, all kinds of things. And that we should be asking some of the questions and really kind of highlight that in the comprehensive plan.
I guess my only issue with that in general is, again, you're kind of asking mother with an apple pie, do you support farms? Well, yeah, of course I do. Why wouldn't you? So, what do you really do with that information? I think it's important to ask, but, sometimes you're gonna get 90% saying they do, because why would you say you don't support farms? Other than maybe you don't like the smell of cows or something like that.
So there are programs
Yeah.
right now that are helping to keep people farming, I think, in the
Sure.
state. So I guess it would be,
Yeah.
do we want to address those?
Well, but I think that the issue is that if the contracts have already been signed and the development rights have been signed over to the town or whoever, those contracts are pretty much already set. If that doesn't stipulate in the contract that they have to maintain it as a working farm, other than the appearance, then they aren't really,
Well, they're not bound to do
they aren't
anything.
bound to do anything.
But it doesn't mean the community
That's
can't
right.
have a desire. Yeah.
And then if 90% of the people support farms, then maybe that leads to some changes to our zoning regulations that allows you to have chickens in your backyard, and just...
Or community-supported agriculture like Casey Farm does.
We just went through a chicken dispute, right, just recently.